All right, Congressional Budget Office status is discretionary apparation legislation August 29, 2025. Fiscal year 2025 U.S. Senate as of July 21st, 2025. The report summarized Congressional Budget Office. Cost estimates discretionary operation fiscal year 2025 containing legislation considered by the Senate. Table 1 summarized by the Congressional Budget Office. Estimated discretion spending for the 2025 legislation delineates budget authority. Subject limits established by Official Responsibility Act of 2023, Public Law 118.5. Table 2 summary of advance for the operation provided in 2022 operation legislation future official years. Table 3 summarizes Congressional Budget Office estimated change of the budget authority outlay of the withdrawal of the provisions of bank change of the mandatory programs. Statutory operation legislation table of the chief budget and Congressional Budget Office estimated appropriate operation legislation having an active official year of the 2025 estimates prepared for the Congressional Budget Office of June 24th, 2025 baseline. Enacted Continuing Operations Act of 2025, further Continuing Operations Act of 2025, Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act of 2025, Fiscal Year Continuing Operation 2025, and Recession Act of 2025. And this is Table 1 summarizes the Congressional Budget Office for the estimate of the discretionary spending of the 2025 legislation delineates the budget authority subject to the limits of the all caps established Financial Responsibility Act of 2023, Public Law 118.5. 2025 separate caps exist for the defense funding and the laws revised security of the budget of the 050. Non-offensive of the revised non-secretary will cover all of the other budget functions. Balanced budget, emergency deficient control act of 1985 is amended by the FRA to provide with a certain adjustment of the caps of the Congressional Budget Office estimates the funding with a constraint with the 2025 caps amount with the result of adjusting certain amounts that are not counted toward the caps. So we have the spending counted with the statutory caps, and then outside of it is the emergency spending not on the caps. So we have an agricultural. We'll look at the total spending of the under the caps. 60,296. Emergency 33. Total spending under the caps 60,296. Commercial justice. Science 40,000 in millions of dollars. $40 million. 40,285 million. Commercial justice sciences in millions of dollars, 85,617, 841,500, defense, $841.50 billion, $837 billion, 3.8 billion, energy, water, 5972, energy and water, 674038 basic allowance and O. So I guess we'll look at the bottom of this. O stands for outlays, VA stands for veterans, BA stands for budget authority. So back to financial services, the budget authority is at 18.5. The O stands for the outlays at 28.43. Homeland 118.37 to 60 with a basic allowance. Outlay 92.56. Interior and environment 58. Interior and environment. Labor HHS education 201 basic allowance. 241 outlay. Legislative branch 675.2, 670.89. Military Instruction Veteran Authority 148 basic allowance, 144 outlay. 51 state foreign operations, 51.679 basic allowance, 71.5 operations. Transportation HUD basic allowance 114.5. Opportunity 194.95. So we're looking at a total of $1,750,278 and an outlay of $186,940, and this is in the status operations report of the Senate on the budget today for 2020 fiscal year 2025. Statutory Caps Adjustment Apparatus Subcommittee 2025 Most Discrete Budget Authority subject to limited caps established by the FRA and enforced through the sequestering separate caps exist for the Defense Fund law provides for the budget function 050 from non-defensive funding revised non-security coverage of all the other budget functions of the deficient with the Control Act of the amended for the FRA provided the adjustment goes with the caps of the account with the funding certain activities designated within the of the Section 251 Act of the emergency requirement of disaster relief certain activities related program and integrity. Alright, FRI provides accounts for the funding of the certain activities designated for the corner of the Section 251 of the emergency requirement of disaster relief, certain activity related to the program integrity. Wildfire suppression table of the Congressional Budget Office estimate of the Budget Authority would have the result adjustment caps associated limits of those adjustment. Final authority to make the determination result of the Office of Management and Budget. For more information, Office of Management Budget OMB final sequestration report of the President Congressional Official Year of 2025 April 2025 includes swellings 12,377 million full year operations stemming on the full year of continuing operation act 2025 designated with the Congress emergency requirements of those amounts for the President designated with 9,443 million is emergency relief for the administrative of the plan to spend those funds with the President but does not designate 2,934 million emergency requirements for the operation now available to do with the obligation see with Donald Trump President of the United States memorandum of the Congress United States came for the designation funding of the emergency requirement March 24, 25 in Office of Management Budget final sequestration report President Congressional Official Year 2025 with the 2,934 million 434 million for the justification subcommittee for the commercial of the justice for the design with the 2,500 million under the justification subcommittee statement of foreign operations reflects the amount of the previously enacted with the designated with the emergency requirement of the fiscal year of the 2025 of the allocation enforcement of the Congressional Budget Act 1974 keeping section 105 of the FRA with the amount of the exclude with the calculation related with the statute of the budget and fourth and extent with the division J with the infrastructure investment jobs act with division B with the bipartisan state with the communities act with the section 443 that you give with the division G with the consolidated operation act with the 2023 with the keeping the 21st of the Century Cures Act with a certain funding with the Department of Health and Human Services to exclude with the estimate with the purpose of the goal for the Congressional Budget of the Act with the Deficient Control Act as a result of the estimate with the exclude 550 million with the budget with the authority 58 million with the outlay with the jurisdiction subcommittee with the agricultural estimates exclude 127 million with the budget authority with 586 million and with the outlay with the jurisdiction subcommittee with the labor the HAHS and with the education keeping the 2024 legislation funding with the Commodity Future Trading Commission with its included with the jurisdiction subcommittee of the agricultural includes 17 million full year emergency designated operation Federal Bureau of Investigation stemming with the section 155 of the continuing operation act of 2025 includes 6,604 million full emergency designated with the operation of the Department of Defense included with 5,691 million shipbuilding conversions 913 million defensive-wide operation maintenance for the stemming of the respective form of section 157 of the 158 of the FCAA 2025 Statutory Caps and Adjustment Operation Subcommittee, including the $2 million full year emergency designated operation activity Department of Energy stemming with the Section 160 of the FCA 2025 with the keeping to Section 14,003 Coronavirus Aid and Relief of the Economic Security Act is modified with the Section 101 of Division A of the Consolidated Operation Act of 2021. Certain funding provided with the Army Corps of Engineers excluded estimate for the purpose of both of the Congressional Budget Act of the Deficient Control Act as a result of the estimate with the exclude with the 2,829 million budget authority 2,552 million with the outlay of the jurisdiction subcommittee with the energy of the water. For the purpose of estimating 2025 of the operation legislation, House of Senate committee with the budget have the directive of the operation to provide with the repower marketing administrative of the purchase of power of the wheeling of the power and wheeling. Consider full offset of the receipt collected and recover the expense of the purpose of the purchase power and wheeling as a result of the direction estimate with the incorporated additional offset of the exceed with $70 million. Section 11,001 of the 5 of the Financial Services, Section 11,001 of the Labor HHS Education Public Law 119.4 of the Resides in Statute 10.2 billion dollars, $10 billion respectively amount of the provide with the Internal Revenue Service in 2022 of the Reconciliation Act. Chief Budget Office anticipate the resign with these amounts would result of for fewer and enforcement of the action of the IRS through smaller revenue collections. Taken together, the Congressional Budget Office of the estimate of production revenues attributed with a cumulative of the 22.2 billion recession with a total of 1.7 billion in 2025, 38.2 billion over the 25 to 2029 period, 65.8 billion over 2025 to 2034 period, includes 67 million with a base operation and activity related with the present transaction that stems from the continuing operation act of 2025. It also includes the 1 million full year emergency designated operation with the Office of Terrorism and Financial Intelligence streaming with the FCAA 2025, includes 231 base budget for the authority of the U.S. Secret Service stemming from the full year operation provided with the CAA 25. Section 1106 of the Public Law 119.4 extended through September 30th, 2025. Several of the immigration program chief budget offered the estimate of the extent of the effect of the revenues to cover the resulting change with both the size of the U.S. population and with the number of people enrolled. Certain benefit programs, some of the benefits that are provided through tax credits, particularly with the chief congressional budget office to estimate the extent of the provision. Later, the Conrad 4030 waiver of the program and non-immigrant medical work with the employer-based immigrant waiver of certain religious work over the duration fiscal year 2025 reduced for the revenues and significant amount each fiscal year for the 2025 to 2034 for the overall for the production $1 million to 2025 to 2025, 29, 2025 to 2034 periods. Table 2 displays a summary of the advance of the operation budget authority provided with the operational legislation that becomes available. The obligation on the more and more fiscal year after the budget year of the legislation consider the amount of the incorporated current staff of the discretion of operations for a future year with the Congress and the chair of the operational legislation of the respective years. Table 2 advanced operation provided in the 2025 with the operational legislation operation subcommittee with the basic allowance, budget authority. Indiana Health is 523,000 in interior, and that's in millions. Labor, HHS, education, 23,833 million. Military construction VA, 131,439 million. Transportation HUD, 4,400 million. Alright, Table 3 summaries of the estimated budget area effects change of the mandatory programs contained in 2025, the operational legislation, keeping the budget enforcement act of the 1990, and the scorekeeping guideline 3 for the operation, include with the change of the after spending for the mandatory programs in the current year budget year, spending effects for the not revenue after include with the estimated discretionary funding for the provide for the act for the purpose of judging for the actual compliance with the limits of the budget authority. Alright, 2025, and increases or decreases in spending. We have 71 agricultural, 120 outlay, negative 700 commercial justice outlay 690 negative, defense 00, energy 2 basic authority of 214 outlay, financial services 10,649 negative. Basic authority outlay negative 523, Homeland 1313, Interior Environment 880, Basic Authority outlay 592, Labor HHS Education 23,422, negative outlay negative 607, Legislative Branch negative 4, Military Construction 00, Steering Foreign Operations Basic Authority 0, outlay 25, Transportation HUD 00, Total outlay Basic Authority 36,109, outlay 1,068, and that's the source of Congressional Budget Office, fiscal year 2025 U.S. Senate.